The Switch Pro. It's been rumored by, well, a lot of people, and it's basically just supposed to be a more powerful Nintendo Switch. And, well, it actually makes perfect sense for Nintendo to want to do this. The PS5, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S were recently released, and those are the most powerful consoles ever. Like, if you're not counting, like, gaming PCs, those are the most powerful gaming consoles ever, with the exception of maybe the Series S. But the original Nintendo Switch has the same amount of power as the original Xbox One, so it makes perfect sense for Nintendo to want to upgrade. It's just that, is it real? Well, I hope so. Most games on the Switch run at 30 frames per second, if that, with very few games running at 60. Super Mario Odyssey runs at 60, so it's all good, guys. Anyway, a better Switch would be pretty nice. We get 60 frames for every game, especially for Age of Calamity. Like, that game doesn't even run at 30. How the frick am I supposed to play it? Anyway, so, the Switch Pro, what will it be like? Well, obviously it's going to be a more powerful Switch, but I want to get into the details, so that's going to be today's video. I'll be giving my predictions on the Nintendo Switch Pro, because this actually sounds like a really good idea, so let's get into it. So we talked about how the Switch is about as powerful as an Xbox One, and I don't really know about all the processors and all that garbage, so we're just going to get straight to the frame rate. I hope the Switch will run at least 60 frames per second for most games. It runs at 30 for most games now, so 60 will be a pretty great upgrade, because 30 is playable, don't get me wrong, but 60 is just so much better. And I think that 60 frames per second will make more people want to buy the Switch. And, of course, 4K resolution as well, when docked, of course. I mean, 4K is the new thing. I mean, they're going on to 8K now, right? So 4K would be very likely. Is it all possible? I don't know what kind of processors or garbage they have out there, but yeah, maybe 4K output to the TV, that would be great. As for the screen itself, I'm thinking 1080p, because it was 720p last time. 1080p just make the jump a little bit. That would be a nice change. So 60 frames per second, 1080p undocked, and 4K docked. I think we're on a great track so far. So that brings us to the price. There is no way it's going to be $500 because Nintendo has always wanted their prices on their systems to be pretty low so it can be easily bought by everyone. So I'm thinking the price will be $400 US dollars, of course, or, you know, $399.99. Because the Switch Lite was $200, the regular Switch was $300, so it just makes sense for the Switch Pro to be $400. And yeah, I mean, that's a pretty great package. It's just an upgraded Switch. And is the upgraded visuals really enough to sell the console? Of course not. They gotta add more stuff. So I'm thinking exclusive games that can normally not be run on the Switch. Kind of like how they did it with the new 3DS. Only certain games can run on the new 3DS that cannot run on the old 3DS. Well, I'm pretty sure they could run, it's just so horribly bad, it's not even funny. Anyway, so, it will be like that situation. We can get more high-end games now, such as Call of Duty, GTA, the non-crappy version of Control. I mean, those are all in the realm of possibility. So how powerful will the Switch be? Or the Switch Pro, I should say, son of a biscuit. So the Switch Pro, I'm thinking at the very most it will be as powerful as a PS4 Pro. Because I don't think it's really possible for the Switch Pro to compete with the PS5 and Xbox Series X without going over the $600 price mark, because they have to make it portable still. But what if they don't make it portable? Because the Switch Lite was already a dedicated handheld, and the Switch Pro could be a dedicated console. And that would just defeat the Switch's whole purpose. The Switch Lite, it makes sense. A lot of people play their Switch in handheld mode. Perfect sense there. But a dedicated console to call it the Switch? Like, I don't think it makes that much sense. So I'm thinking it will just be a better handheld that can dock normally. And just be a better Switch that can play more games. But I haven't talked about one feature that I want the most. 3DS backwards compatibility. Now, the Switch already takes cartridges, right? add another cartridge slot, or just make it so it will fit in the cartridge slot of the Switch cartridges, and make it so you can play your old 3DS games, not necessarily with upgraded visuals, but with more frames, because the only way you can really play 3DS games now is to have the original hardware or emulators, but we don't talk about those around here. Or do we? Anyway, so maybe that's something that I've seen a few people bring up, and I thought to myself, dang, that would be a pretty cool idea. So, the Switch Pro, 4K resolution when docked, 1080p in handheld mode, 60 frames per second across all games, and 3DS backwards compatibility. So what about the controllers? The Joy-Cons are fine, but I think we need an upgrade because they're not that comfortable to use. The Switch Pro controller, on the other hand, like, holy crap, this is probably the most comfortable controller I've ever held. But people are saying the PS5 controller is the most comfortable. I never held one of those, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see for that. Maybe I'll change my mind. Anyway, so the Switch Pro will have different Joy-Cons. It'll work in the same way as regular Joy-Cons, have some, be attached to the side of the Switch to charge, all that jazz. But they will be more comfortable to hold, better joysticks, better grip, just overall a better feel, I think is what many people want. Which, I mean, I definitely want that, definitely. So, yeah, the Switch Pro. Now, one last thing. Will it even be called the Switch Pro? Honestly, if we're talking about Nintendo here, I don't think so. They will call it something stupid like the new Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo Switch Deluxe or some crap like that. But since they're trying to make the Switch look a lot more like professional than the other consoles, I think they might be willing to make it a fancy name like the Nintendo Switch Pro or the Nintendo Switch, I don't know, XSE Plus. I don't know, man. Like, they probably do all that. So that's going to be it for the video, guys. I just want to give you some predictions on the Switch Pro. Now, when will it actually release? I don't know. Nintendo did say that no Switch revisions are coming in 2020, which basically said, oh, there's another revision coming, so maybe in 2021. I'm thinking maybe like mid-2021, though, because, I mean, early 2021, I don't know. Anyway, guys, so that's going to go ahead and wrap up today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.